Anna and I had a pretty fabulous collaboration on this project where we both started as music director and sound designer and ended with a litany of other roles and titles. Our roles really shifted in interesting ways, but the ways in which the roles shifted allowed us to use these really unique skill sets that we each brought to the table. So Anna selected the transition music. So she's part, music historian. I arranged the pieces, then took them into Sibelius and arranged them for a punk rock ensemble. Then we had to do a big shift in how to approach the recording process. The project started as something that was going to be entirely live and ended as something that's a hybrid of live and recorded. So we recorded all the transition music, and she ended up being an engineer while I ended up being a musician in the band. And she also ended up being a Pro Tools operator and assistant engineer while we recorded all the vocals, while I ended up being a vocal producer. So, long lists of the different roles we ended up doing. But because we're both audio engineers and musicians, that we were able to divide these tasks, conquer them pretty efficiently and in interesting ways. I am the type of person who likes to make very thorough plans, very well documented plans, communicate early, and have everything laid out from the beginning. And so this process has gone through, at this point, many, many lives, many versions, starting as a production in the Wells Mets, and then for a while in the amphitheater, for a while live from just the band, live from the Wells Mets or the Halls Theater and live streamed. And then for a while, live from my living room, and this hybrid of live from my living room and live from Joshi and pre recorded music. And so, a big way that my artistic process has changed is letting go of initial plans and really adopting this mindset that the plan will change. So all of these plans have gone through lots of different versions, plans A through Z, really. And that's part of the challenge. It's a challenge for me personally to let go of work that we've put into one idea and accept the realities and move on to something else and say, how can I make this new idea, even though I'm sad to let go of the last one, how can I make my new idea as cool and full of life as possible? So it's been a really good exercise in just like letting go and finding inspiration and creative ideas in places where, um, you know, I might have been disappointed about compromise. I'm not necessarily as disappointed about compromise, as disappointed about reality as I am excited about the creative exercise of the whole thing, the whole ordeal. For the original live production, we had planned to have the band present playing the pre-show, post-show music, just grooving out to our punk rock set list that we would put together, and then present for the show to play the music in the show and the transition music. And we also had a really cool idea that the band members would be bonnets themselves and that the character of God would be a part of the band. And so then all of the people on stage are very much a part of this unified experience of feminine rage. Um, and so I do wish we had, as musicians, had kind of gotten this experience to be a part of the action on stage in a way that pit musicians usually aren't. And that's part of what the appeal of the Bonnets project was in the first place, is getting to do things that we don't usually get to do. So for the actors, that oftentimes means getting things that female and non-binary actors don't usually get to do on stage, playing roles they don't usually get to. And as musicians, that kind of meant being extra theatrical in ways that we used to have to hide, wear all black and sit in the back or sit off stage, sit under the stage, that we would have gotten to do something a little more active in the performance. So I am a little bit disappointed in that, but I think we're getting around it in a pretty cool way. Well, switching to virtual has been a big mindset shift in a way that I'm having to use all of the skills that I've got. So everything from Sibelius, notating and arranging things, something I was going to do anyway, all the way up through, pre-recording these tracks, vocal producing, coaching home recordings for people who weren't able to come into the studio either because of distance or because of, being sick or being in quarantine. Yeah, a weird coming together of skills that don't usually all get put on the same project. So also, not to mention, like, just figuring out how to like live stream music has, been an interesting process. So just learning about how to set up a mix and do a concert from my house has been a fun challenge, but good knowledge to come away with a project, um, as well as just communication skills beyond anything I've ever had to do ever. And that's really kind of one of the main parts of my job is I'm an organizer. I'm organizing brilliant people and their brilliant ideas and their unique skill sets and bringing lots of people together. I've got, a band of 5 musicians. I'm working with the sound designer, Anna. I'm working with people on the tech side. I'm working with directors. I'm working with designers. I'm working on creative projects and opinions and working with supervising professors and just bringing everyone together in a really special way, kind of seeking out people with the skills that we need to accomplish something we've never done before and just being ahead of a team. One of many ways that I have adapted to this and the skills that I've been working on is just as an organizer in a virtual setting, what it's like to be head of communications for a huge group of people and what it's like to seek out skills and seek out talent and brilliance and convince people to come share that. The studio recording process for Bonnets has been a fun and fascinating experience. One of my favorite things about being an engineer, being an audio engineer, and working on projects kind of outside of what we do in the audio engineering department for our classes is I oftentimes get to be someone's first experience in the studio. I get to facilitate someone's very first studio experience or an early studio experience, one of their first, something like that. And I really do love being a person that can usher others into the studio and give them a positive recording experience because it can be really intimidating for some people. It can be kind of scary, kind of overwhelming to just kind of stand in a room and sing or play or something. So for the vocal recordings on this, I worked with Anna Fagan and Olivia Lawson to bring vocalists in one by one following really strict COVID protocol. So just having someone there to manage that was very helpful. But we would bring these actors in one by one, have them in a different room than us, sit in the control room, and I would have my assistant engineer running Pro Tools while I sat on the talkback mic and just kind of coached the actors through every little baby step of what we were doing. So the process kind of starts with, put your headphones on for us and can you hear me okay? Great. How do they feel? Do you feel okay? Is there anything we can do to make you more comfortable? And then into questions like, we're going to play back a little bit of the song for you and let us know if you want any of the instruments levels adjusted. So then we do that, adjust everything, and we say, let's start at measure 13. What do you think? And just really, trying to calmly and happily coach coach people along through it in the friendliest, calmest way possible. That's also a way to encourage people's creativity, which is my favorite part of working with actors in this setting. Definitely is just what happens when I give a suggestion, just to say, let's take these 4 bars again, and this time I don't care what you do with the rhythms, or this time I don't care what you do with the dynamics. Ignore them, do whatever you want, change it up. And the brilliant things that these actors would come up with just blew me away. And we have been patching together all these vocal takes, like just making a quilt. It's called, comping together the vocals. So we've been putting together this vocal comp of everyone's fantastic ideas, and telling a story with these pieces of their sounds. So that's how we recorded the vocals for Chop Chop. So none of the Chop Chop music is happening live. It's all pre-recorded. So that's kind of the vocal side. The instrumental side of Chop Chop is what we recorded first. And so we recorded that in the Joshi studio with Abby Harrison as lead audio engineer. She did a lot of pre-production planning to select the microphones, do the layout of the studio, and design the whole process. And then Anna Fagan assisted in that setup, and the band came in. We had Leanne come in to set up lights ahead of time. And so we actually videoed the whole thing just for personal portfolio reasons, with bright pink and red and purple lights to kind of make the recording session feel a little more like a punk rock show. The band, we all dressed in, kind of what we'd wear if we were in a punk rock concert, what we'd wear if we were performing live together. So a lot of like black lace tights and dresses and, leather jackets, that kind of thing. Great aesthetics all around. We had such a blast on this session, and it's a really rare and special occurrence when everyone present in a recording studio for a session like that are women. And so, everyone from the head engineer, assistant engineer, and all the musicians being women is something that doesn't happen very often. And it's a really special thing. And it usually doesn't happen unless we intentionally make it happen. And so that is what happened with this session. And about midway through recording the instruments, we're on maybe take 4 or 5 of the song. And we're all stopping to be like, to problem solve what the spot is that we're kind of missing every time, what the mistakes are, how to better fix it. And the really fantastic communication that happened is oh so very rare. There's something about having women in a studio where the egos are not there, the insecurities are not there, and we can really just work extraordinarily efficiently, with extraordinary creativity and kindness as well. We were so efficient. We got through the piece in, I think, 6 takes, finished in great time. We got through all the overdubs, and they sounded amazing. Everyone came in well prepared. Everyone left their egos at the door, and we came in ready to work together as a team, not trying to show off to each other, but really just there to collaborate and make great work. It also helps that all of the musicians in the band are also audio engineers. So really kind of highlighting special roles among us as female musicians and audio engineers, people who can kind of do a lot of really awesome things. And so I'm really very excited to be highlighting the people and the skills in our audio department at IU that fit this identity that doesn't get highlighted in the audio industry. And so we're the generation of, girl power, supporting each other, musician, technician people.